Good evening and welcome to Public Domain Drive-In, my Public Domaniacs. I'm your host, Colonel Graves, here for our first ever Halloween Shortstacular. Tonight's going to be creepy, kooky, spooky. I may be a little looky, but we'll see. In the meantime, there's going to be ghosts and goblins and monsters and vampires. So do me a favor, try not to be afraid.
Billy?
I'm not a bit sleepy.
You have to get up early tomorrow, remember?
Oh, I don't want to go to bed yet.
It's bedtime and sleep time. Now, put these things down. Now get under the covers and out with the lights.
Mom, I'm always awake for ages after the lights are out.
Oh, don't worry. You'll fall asleep right away. You'll be asleep before you know it. Good night, Billy.
Good night.
Billy's mother didn't know the real reason why he didn't want to go to bed. When he was left alone in the dark bedroom, Billy became frightened. He didn't understand about fear, that fear is a natural thing and nothing to be ashamed of, and that there's a way to go about getting over some fears. So he had never told his mother about it.
What is it, Billy? Why aren't you in bed? What's wrong, Billy? Is something the matter?
Mother...
Yes?
Is it all right if I leave the lights on just for tonight?
Oh, is that what's been bothering you?
I thought I saw someone in the room, and I heard noises.
Well, noises always seem louder at night, and then we often imagine all sorts of things that aren't true. Tell me, Billy, are you often afraid like this?
Lots of nights.
Oh, I'm sorry you didn't tell me about this before. You should never be ashamed of telling me when you're afraid of something. Fear is nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody's afraid of something or other. It's very natural. Do you remember what happened a few weeks ago, that Sunday morning? I was making breakfast. You and Dad were waiting so you could get outside to work on the lawn. Do you remember how the bacon fat poured over the stove and caught fire? I was terribly frightened. Your father was frightened, too. Then he remembered an old trick about putting out grease fires, and he quickly smothered the flame. We were all frightened of the fire. It was natural. Being afraid was nature's way of warning us that the fire was dangerous and might harm us. That's what fear is, a warning of danger. Sometimes we're afraid of big things, and sometimes we're afraid of very little ones. But you shouldn't be ashamed of being afraid of something dangerous. No matter whether it's big or little, being afraid is nature's way of reminding us that we should do something to avoid the danger and to avoid being harmed. Do you remember the time you threw the ball onto the ledge at school? Danny was angry at you for throwing the ball out of bounds and insisted that you get it down. He dared you to climb up the wall on the drain pipe. But it looked too dangerous to you, and you were afraid of losing your grip and falling. So you refused to climb up, even if it was a dare. And the janitor got the ball for you. You see, being afraid of climbing up the wall was your warning that it was very dangerous and that you might be hurt. You showed good common sense when you paid attention to that warning, and you don't have to be ashamed of it. Being afraid was nature's way of getting you to avoid something dangerous. But now there's something else about fear that I don't think you quite understand, Billy.
What's that?
Well, sometimes when you become afraid, there isn't anything that's really dangerous. Sometimes you think things are dangerous when they're not. Sometimes you and most other people grow afraid even when they know there's nothing dangerous. Can you think of anything like that, Billy?
I know. Kathy Lewis used to be afraid of dogs, even when they were friendly. She was so scared she'd cross the street when she saw one.
Well, that's a good example of exactly what I mean.
I found it out one day when I was playing with Scrappy. You know, Mr. Rogers' dog? He's friendly. He wouldn't even hurt a flea. I didn't know she was so fraidy cat. I called her to come over, but she wouldn't do it. She wouldn't come back even when I told her the dog wouldn't hurt her. She didn't have to be afraid of the dog. It wouldn't have hurt her. Isn't that what you mean, Mom?
That's just what I mean. And you remember how afraid Keith Hoken was about learning to swim?
That's right. He was scared to go near the water.
Yes. Keith was afraid of something that wouldn't hurt him, too. And there's another kind of being afraid when there's no real danger. That's being afraid of what people might think, especially your parents. Do you remember a few months ago when Mrs. Campbell phoned me after dinner? Frank hadn't been seen since school. They were waiting dinner for him, and poor Mrs. Campbell didn't know what to think. Well, you know what happened. They found Frank down in the basement. His report card had some bad grades on it, and he was afraid of what his mother and father would think. Maybe even that they'd stop loving him. Of course, he found out that he shouldn't have been afraid, that his parents would go on loving him no matter what grades he made. So you can see what I mean when I say there was no real danger there. There are many things that people are afraid of when there's really no danger. Things like fear of being laughed at because their clothes are different or because their marks aren't as good as they might be. They're afraid for all sorts of foolish reasons.
But suppose you are afraid of something, like dogs or the dark. What can you do about it?
Well, each time you're afraid, try to understand whether there's really something to be afraid of. If you're afraid when there's real danger, you can learn ways of protecting yourself. Fear at the right time will make you careful. fear and wise action, such as Dad took, or such as you took when you wouldn't climb up that wall. You can be proud, not ashamed of.
But how can you tell when there's a real danger or not?
Just stop and think. Common sense will often help. Then, too, try to remember or find out whether other people are afraid of the same things you are. For instance, Kathy could see that you were playing with the dog and that the dog didn't hurt you. She could know from that that there was nothing to be afraid of.
That's right.
So what Kathy needed to do was to try to understand why she was afraid of dogs. Maybe just getting to know some dogs would have helped her get over her fears.
That's what she did do, Mom. Her dad bought her a little puppy to play with. It was the cutest little thing. We all loved it, especially Kathy. That was last summer. Her dog's big now. Kathy took good care of him. He got to know dogs so well that she isn't a bit afraid of them anymore. I guess that's what you mean by getting to know and understand the thing you're afraid of.
Yes. Keith got over his fear of the water by taking swimming lessons with a teacher he trusted and believed in.
Yeah, he can swim pretty well now.
There's another thing you can do to help yourself get over a fear when there's no real danger, and that's to talk about your fear with somebody.
Like we're doing now.
That's right. You could talk it over with your parents, friends, your teacher, your doctor, someone you're fond of and trust. If Frank had only talked with his mother and father about his fear that they might stop loving him if his report card wasn't good, it would have been better for them all. Of course, his parents didn't realize he felt that way. Perhaps they expected too much of Frank. And it may sound funny, but Frank's grades were bad partly because of his fear of his parents. He was afraid he couldn't make good. Talking it over certainly made a big difference to the Campbells. It helped all of them understand each other better. As they talked over his work and work habits and what they expected of him, Frank got over his fear of making poor grades and of not doing well enough to please his father and mother. He's doing much better in school now, isn't he?
Yeah. Gee, Mom, it does help a lot to talk things over.
Billy, would you like to talk about some of the things that you're afraid of? Like why you don't like the room dark?
Well, I'm lonesome. And I'm afraid you and Dad aren't downstairs. That maybe you've gone away.
You have my word that we'll never go away without telling you. And of course we'd never leave you alone. Either we or someone else will always be where you can call. How about it? Ready for sleep now?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, darling. Good night. What about the light, Billy?
Tell you what, Mom. Leave the door open a little instead, will you?
That's fair enough. Good night, son.
He will feel as alone as he did before? Do you think he'll stay awake as long as he used to? Does knowing that others are afraid of real dangers make it easier for Billy to stop worrying about his own fears? And when he remembers that some people are afraid when there's no real danger, does that make it easier for Billy to understand some of his own fears? Billy refused to climb the drain pipe because it looked dangerous. Yet at the same time, he had another fear. He was afraid he might be called a coward by his friends. He had to decide which was the real fear. Do you think he decided correctly? And do you think that the story of Frank's being afraid of what his parents might think helped Billy understand his own fears better? Did it help Billy to talk over his fears with his mother? What do you think?
Strange, Lobo. Our friend always returns home after his long, tiresome swim.
I am Torgo. I take care of the place while the master is away.
So, you're not afraid. That's established. But Are you popular?
Popularity. What is it made of? How does a person get to be popular with lots of people and have a few close friends, too? Let's watch and see what makes people like one person and not another. Wally has used a lot of common sense in putting the invitation this way. It shows he has thought about what Carolyn might like, and he has implied his price range, so she will have some idea of what he can afford when she makes her choice. Carolyn likes it better this way, too. It's doing the girl no favor to leave it entirely up to her. It puts her on a spot. He is proud to be with Carolyn because she looks well, is friendly with everyone, and is considerate of their feelings. She likes him for these same reasons, and also because he is fun to be with. Home, parents, and personality all help boys and girls to be popular.
I told you I'd bring you a body.
Say, Mama. Oh, hey, you're back. So, you're not afraid? You're popular, you got friends, and apparently you got a brain that just won't die. So it looks like you're ready for the big Halloween party. Don't forget to wear a disguise.
Hello, funny face. You.
Now it's time for a court-ordered public service announcement.
happy time and the carefree time. A time of auto rides and double dates. It's a time of fun, of pranks and jokes, of ice cream cones and chocolate sodas. Youth is a time for getting a job, for finding one's place in the world. But sometimes in these troubled days, the very thoughtlessness of youth has led to a living nightmare. Addiction to drugs, too often acquired with tragic carelessness, may take control of a life and force actions not dreamed of before. To these addicts, life's only work is to find money for drugs. In their desperation, no means is too foul. Their only goal in life is to keep the deadening chemicals forever in their heart's blood. Basic to everything else is a wider knowledge, especially among young people, of the grave danger involved in any kind of experimentation with drugs. They should understand that thoughtless curiosity about what it feels like to smoke marijuana or take a shot of heroin can lead to a lifetime of pain and torment, constantly faced by the horror of being without drugs. Much can be done to stamp out this vicious if each person who knows of a drug peddler or a drug addict reports him to the authorities immediately as a deadly menace to himself and his friends. For every person must take some of the responsibility for preventing the growth of drug addiction. He must face the possibility that he himself may be a potential drug addict. Only by avoiding these drugs completely can he be sure that he will remain forever safe from a vicious habit which enslaves not only one's body, but the soul as well.
Rob's full of crap.
Warning, public domaniacs. The next segments are rated PG-13. You may want to cover the eyes, mouth, ears, nose, and whatever orifices of the small ones until they stop moving about so much. And enjoy! I know I will. Ooh.
Do you know the secrets of making friends?
They are so simple and easy. Well, that looks easy enough. And Joey is going to try it out.
Now the summer's here, but just for a while. The night arrives, now I can smile. Just a little bit, speak up a little bit. It's past my bedtime, the season it goes. Just a little bit, put out a little bit. When the birds and the insects put on a show. Give up a little bit. As the heat goes up, the cares go down.
Find good things in people.
As the fire gets hot all around the
Tell them the good things.
Summer's here to start, but it's not too
Smile and talk to people. That's the first thing.
to feel the need to pollinate.
All day, things have been going better for Joey. Still smiling and talking to people, finding good things about people and telling them about the good things. Going home isn't going to be lonely this time.
When the morning comes and no one's around, the sun struts in blinding, but without a sound. My friends and I laugh as we sit in the dark and watch the hills blossom near Central Park. And as the heat goes up, the cares go down. As the fire gets hot all around the town. Summer's here to start, but it's not too late to feel the need to pollinate.
Mother thinks that's a good idea.
It's the sign of the season to pollinate. You know you never need a reason to pollinate. It's the sign of the season to pollinate. You know you never need a reason to go.
about you guys, but all that dancing around makes me really excited for another Halloween party. Let's go cut a rug, shall we?
It is night. It is for Halloween. Makes noise. But there is a tap at the window. No one there. Again at the other window. But no one is there either. Surprise, surprise. It is Father with pumpkins, Indian corn, and straw. Everything we need for Halloween decoration. Julie wants to know what the straw is for. To cover the roses with and keep them warm during the winter. The whole family is getting ready to make the jack-o'-lantern. Peter has finished his cat mask, and Julie brings paper to keep the table clean. And now Father is back and we are all together. Uh-oh, what is Peter up to? He is trying to scare Shep with his cat mask. And Shep doesn't like to be teased. I'm sure Peter wouldn't like someone to tease him. Father has a pump out and is working on the face. Shep wants to know what this is all about. And in goes his nose. Hey, get away from here, says Father. A very sad, sorry, spooky-looking jack-o'-lantern. Sad.
Sorry. Spooky.
Now comes the best part. Everyone goes to turn out a light. Now. And Shep does not like the jack-o'-lantern with a lighted candle in it. Lights on. Everybody laughs at Shep. But now it is bedtime. Tomorrow is Halloween. But for Shep, the scary part of Halloween has already begun. All night he watches a sad, sorry, spooky jack-o'-lantern. The next day is a dull one for Shep. Mother has gone to school to bring Julie and Peter home for lunch, and Father is at work. And the jack-o'-lantern is not scary in the daytime. But there is Peter's cat. Pete Shep with that. And so Shep tears the scary mask apart. There's the outside door. Peter sees his mask, or what is left of it. And there's no time to make a new one, because the costume parade is right after lunch. But Mother is sure there is some way to get Peter a new costume. Now let's see. There's the needle and thread. Oh, Shep, you're such a bad dog. Now Peter won't have a chance to win the prize for the best costume. Mother tells Peter that she has an idea. Peter, get the rag bag. Julie, run upstairs and get my makeup box. Now the Mexican hat. Quickly now, only half an hour left. A long length of colored cloth,
gloves, and now... And last, the straw hat. A lady scarecrow. What a fine costume parade with Mother, Julie, and Shep watching. There's a witch, a cat, and a clown. Every different kind of costume. But Peter's lady scarecrow is the best. It is so funny and so different. The first prize for Peter is a box of balloons. And Peter calls all the other children to share his prize. Balloons for everyone. Everyone blows up a balloon. And then... Shep is happy that he helped Peter win. Peter is very happy. Yes, Halloween is fun.
And now, for your enjoyment, a very special tribute to Mr. Bela Lugosi with Blood for Dracula.
Here I am, ready for you. Do what you want with me. Run me through. There I go, into the night. They won't come with me. They never are. But that's something I've never done, and I'll never do. You can give it all up, then take it all back from you. You would not notice if I just disappeared. Move on. There's no blood for Dracula here. Hold me now and tell me it's done. The worst part is over. The best man won. So just close your eyes. Trust me to lead. Down the staircase. It's time to feed. But that's something I've never done, and I'll never do. You can give it all and take it all back from you. But you would not notice if I just disappeared. Move on. There's no blood for Dracula here.
it's not easy to comprehend. So just close the door and turn off the light. I will not hurt you. Maybe I might. That's something I've never done, and I'll never do. You can give it all up, take it all back from you, but you would not notice me if I just disappeared. Move on. There's no blood for Dracula
It was cold and hungry where I was young. Had to burn the coal Dad coughed up from his lung. We kept the Bible by the outhouse holes. We tore the pages out to cleanse our souls. I came home blinded from the Spanish War. I told my gal I couldn't see her no more. Now I live in a bottle, my door is ajar. I sweep up sawdust and sleep in the bar. Now I'm glad this world is not our home, though I won't be headed up to heaven's dome when the signs appear and the trumpet calls. Let me make my pallet where the comet falls. It's a T for shovel and T for pick. Never learned to read, I went to work too quick. It's a O for Reno and a D for bend. I'm wandering round just waiting for the end. I had a shotgun wedding, she's long and black. She sleeps beside me in our shotgun shack. Once we were a-kissing and she chipped my tooth. I shot my mouth off and hit the roof. Now I'm glad this world is not our home, though I won't be headed up to heaven's dome when the signs appear and the trumpet calls. Let me make my pallet where the comet falls. They put P.A.T. Barnum on the dollar bill. If you're not a sucker, then you're just a shill. Now I'm out here strung up in my family tree, born to be a C, D, F, G. Oh, the old New Mexico I knew was sold, where the Hopi hoped and the tumble storms rolled. I found a haystack in needles and I'm off to bed. My home is anywhere I hang my head. and the signs appear, and the trumpet calls. Let me make my pallet where the comet falls.
Well, it's getting late, my public domainiacs, which means we've only got a few hours left to go trick-or-treating. I hope you all had a great time tonight for our new Shortstacular and enjoyed all my little treats for you. No tricks, I promise. So from all of us here at the Public Domain Drive-In to all of you, have a very spoopy Halloween and a very creepy New Year. Good night.
I don't know, it just is, but let me tell you all about it. Bats come out, the children come out in their finest costumes, made of black, faces painted in lime green. Makes you sick. Halloween, 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 Halloween. Pumpkin pie, pumpkin pie, pumpkin pie. Give it a try. It tastes nice. Eat it. Mothers serving pumpkin pie on plastic plates for their children. Talking, she tells them it will feed them up. You'll get fat. You'll get wide. You'll feel sick. And then you'll die. To the cemetery you'll go. 6 feet under you'll be placed. Perhaps in a wooden box. Maybe not. In the fiery depths of hell. In the fiery depths of hell. In the fiery depths of hell. Hello there,